I think this was the first ride of the year, about mid-March, and the first time the roads were clear enough that riding would be more or less safe. As you see, I'm on the 1960 Panther, and just out for a spin to get some pancakes. The roads are clear of snow and ice, but there's still enough scenic snow lying around to make this first ride feel a little special. This was the year I finally overcame all my various Panther woes, and was able to ride it with some likelihood that I'd get home without any major disasters. I've been planning for quite a while now my first trip of the season to be to the eastern townships of Quebec to have a look at some covered bridges and ride the old trusty Eldorado, because it's 50 years old and I turned 70 towards the end of last year, so it just seemed appropriate that we should start to do some interesting travels together. Unfortunately, I didn't even get out of Ontario. First my wife, then I got hit with COVID, so I wasn't able to get away properly for a couple of weeks. By April 20th it was still chilly. I don't think it got much above freezing throughout the whole 5-day ride, but by dressing warmly and stopping often, it wasn't as grim as you might think. Oh, who am I trying to kid? It was grim, even painful at times. But a little suffering was worth it to me, to be out on the road doing a little exploration. I did a full video of this trip and I'll put a link in the description below. By May the snow was gone and I was out riding local roads on the Panther and the Cavalcade. Nothing too exciting, just local day trips while I planned for something a little more adventurous. Since heading up to the Yukon in 2018, I'd had the itch to see more of the West. And since I'd already seen salt water on the East Coast, I decided to see how far I could get going west. Once again, my bike of choice was my mostly trustworthy Eldorado. After battling wind and rain across the prairies, I hit better weather in the mountains. And as one might expect, the riding and the scenery was stunning. If you didn't see it first time around, I have a lengthy trip video online. I'll add a link in the description below. I won't pretend that the weather was always mild. On the Icefields Parkway it got a little damp and chilly, but at 6,000 feet above sea level you have to expect it to be a bit cold from time to time, even in late June. A little July backroads riding on the Panther kept me busy for a few days. And my 1976 Moto Guzzi Convert had been off the road for a while getting new bearings and seals in the transmission, so it was a delight to put a few miles on it before selling it. proven more or less completely reliable all summer, so with the weather still holding and the trees starting to turn colour, I decided to take it for an overnight spin, to Silent Lake Provincial Park, then home through Algonquin Park. Other than one little hiccup with fuel flow, chased at the side of the road to a blocked filter, and using a little more oil than I would like, it performed perfectly, carrying me for over 500 miles in comfort and style. I prepared another short video documenting this trip. I'll post a link in the description below. Time marches on disturbingly fast sometimes. I'd hoped to get in one more decent ride before the snow fell, so during the last part of October I packed the cavalcade and set out for the East Coast. The first couple of days were a dreary, wet haul through Quebec and New Brunswick, but magically, as I began to ride the Cabot Trail, the solid clouds broke apart, the rain ceased, and the winds picked up. At times it was a struggle to keep 1,000 pounds of bike, rider and gear on the right side of the road, but it was worth it for the vast views and the empty roads. My destination had been Meat Cove at the very tip of Cape Breton. I'm glad I went, and I'm especially glad I went in October, as there was no one else around and I could sense the wildness and solitude of ages past. You'll probably think I'm crazy, but I was just as happy that it was raining and that the road gravel was sopping wet. It lent a certain atmosphere to the day, and a tiny bit of challenge to the riding. Once again, I banged together another trip video about my Cabot Trail ride. If you haven't seen it and are interested, please take a look. A link is in the description below. After fixing the clutch on my Eldorado, it was time for a spin. November the 11th was a decent day for a 200-mile run, just to make sure everything was working properly. It was. And that was about it for the year. Since early November it's been miserable weather, and then my niece came over from the UK to do some hiking, so my riding has been virtually nil. Perhaps I'll find a day or two before the end of the year, and perhaps one or two in January and February. I know, I'm an optimist, but staying positive and hopeful helps the winter go by. If you've enjoyed this and my other videos, please like, subscribe and/or comment. My various motorcycle books are available through Amazon and Audible. Thanks for watching.